Here we go. Tane Mahuta. I was going to go out there. It's been raining the majority of the day. And it just had a little drizzle too, but it just let up. But by the time we get out there, so I'd much rather go for a long walk, but it'll be dark soon, so hopefully it's not raining tomorrow. I'll check the weather because most of the time it's right, sometimes it's wrong though. So this recording's about Tane Mahuta. I will find a way. I will find a way. There's different versions, obviously, of the myths with him. I like it when he introduces Hine Ahuone, because people can say, you're connected, the divine feminine, divine masculine, and all this, but then this other myth is like he couldn't find a woman, so he couldn't find a woman, so his mother, Papatuanaku, Mother Earth, said, make one out of my soil. So he made one out of her soil, right? And they named her Hine Ahuone, the first woman. So, the first woman to exist, according to Māori mythology. And that makes sense, as to why I like this one better instead of the next one. Next one is like how Hine Titama became Hine Nui Te Po was because she found out that her husband, or the one I don't know if she had a couple of kids or she was going to have kids too, was actually her father, which was Tane Mahuta. So, yeah. I mean, people could come up with things, but if someone was to take it literally, that's very, very bad. So, we don't want none of that happening. So, I'll go with the other one. God of the forest. The life force that comes when you're in the forest. It's amazing, all this creative inspiration, like all this creative inspiration. Oh, I'm going to go do this, I'm going to do that, what about this? And you come up with all these theories and ideologies and things like that. Your imagination is going wild, you're getting good workout, and that's just really good stuff when you're out in the forest the high majority of the time. Sometimes, of course, because this can even happen with pterodactyls. They might say something and you're like, I don't like that, but then maybe the pterodactyls are reflecting to you your inner state when it comes to a certain thing or at that specific time, and then you can get to work on it, which is rough. I mean, like if I was a teenager or in my early 20s, I'd be like, that is demonic or something like if you're in a real bad place, the pterodactyls can reflect that to you, but their intention is so that you can know how you feel and do what you can to heal it. This is where the whole destiny thing and all this comes into play too. It's like, if we were born 200 or 300 years ago in the West, we would have been in real bad times, or even, the Middle Ages, or if we were born at this time, but we were born in another part of the world, you can face as much of your issues as you want, but if you're in a third world country, or, you're in a world, you're in a country that's the third world at the time, you're just going to have all these issues all the time, So you can work on it as much as you want, but I'm telling you, that it's probably going to get to the point where you get tired. You've been working on all this stuff since you were a teenager or whatever, and you get to your late 30s, and yeah, you've psychologically and spiritually you've come really far. But as far as the materialistic stuff, the things like becoming wealthy, um, career, the high majority of the time it hasn't translated into that, and you're just like, you know what, I can keep working on my stuff and spiritual mental stuff, but I really gotta, you know what I mean, like I've been really trying since young to get this off the ground too, so I'm gonna really focus on that. And people say, no, you should still focus on your spiritual and mental growth. As a, well, if I've been putting in 10 times the amount of effort as the majority of people since I was a teenager, this is in regards to neurodivergent people, but it hasn't translated into career or money. Like, I've already put in 10 times the amount of work as the majority of people. So I may as well just put all in all regards to that. So I may as well just keep putting an effort into my career and how I can contribute to the community and everything like that. And the financial things, like, yeah. Like paying taxes. What's that guy's name? See, you can tell I really don't like him, eh? I mean, like, you get really upset with someone because you like certain things about them, but there's other things you don't like, and so you get really upset because of the things that they're saying that you don't like, because you just see the injustice in it. But then the other 50%, and that's a sign of care, and then there's those who they have their differences but it doesn't really affect the areas that you think is most important, right? And then you got those, you just, man, you after a while you forget their name because you don't have any ground to stand on when it comes to that person. Either that, or they're just really silent, or you haven't seen them in a very long time. JFK, is it? Yeah, I know autism is a plague. Anyway, Tane Mahuta, I'll find a way. So he couldn't find a woman, but he created a woman. Yeah, in my life, I'll find a way. It has always been one of my mantras, or one of my go-to sayings. But that's what a mantra is. When you just keep repeating the same thing, it's a reoccurring theme throughout your life, and you always seem to find a way. Just like Tane Mahuta was able to find a woman. He was part of bringing the balance between nature and humans. So that creativity, that inspiration you get whilst walking in the forest, that all these ideologies, all these ideas come into your mind whilst you're working in the forest and you're getting a good workout. Māoris would call that Tane Mahuta. Okay, see you. And you know what? There was this theory growing up that it was like, okay, people like me, we could either get in a relationship or we could have a career, but we were incapable of doing both. And that's just nonsense. I mean, I didn't realize that it was me because all the stereotypes, the high majority just didn't line up. It was either, it was like 45% or 50% of the stereotypes just didn't line up, and you had another 40, 45%, 40% where it was half correct, half wrong, and then there was like maybe 5 or 10% the stereotype in specific areas, was right. So that's a myth. People like me are far more than capable to have a career as well as, be in relationships and raise a family. We've been doing it for hundreds of thousands of years. It's nothing new. And it's coming for me too. Oh, it's already happening. Spiritually it's happened, just physically coming.